And here we are. Welcome back to the Redshirt Sophomore, where we never sit out. We're your hosts, Andy and CD. And joining us today is an extra special guest. An extra special guest. If you've been following along, thank you to everyone participating in the Redshirt Sophomore Bowl Pool. If you didn't know, the winner of the Redshirt Sophomore Bowl Pool had a chance and an opportunity to come on our show. And we have that winner here today, Aidan Weingartner, host of the Around the Slice podcast, winner of the CFF Redshirt Fantasy Football League, and many other things. So also editor for Pop Finance Pod as well. Aidan, you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm really my level of college football knowledge has really taken off, I feel like, in the last few years, and I've become really accustomed and excited to talk about college football. So yeah, thanks for having me on. I can't wait to dive in today.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to check out Aidan's podcast, Around the Slice, it's all NBA, NFL, and most importantly, the Buffalo Bills. Is that right?
Correct. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, CD, how we doing? How we doing, CD?
Fantastic. Fantastic. Happy for this episode. This is a little bit of a change up in the offseason. We've been doing a lot of transfer portal bowl season, coaching carousels, some reactions, some bowl games. And yeah, I'm excited to talk with Aiden. Congrats for winning our bowl pool. That was really exciting. It was in a tough year, by the way. Very tough year with all the opt-outs, with all the craziness in the bowl season. This is very impressive that you get it done.
Yeah, so the agenda today for you lads. Also, make sure you like the video. If you like the content, like the video. That's a simple rule we have here. And also subscribe if you have a chance to. And also check out Aiden's podcast. Link will be in the description of this video, of course, and his Twitter as well. You can see on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. You can see it's A Weingartner 13. If you're listening on Spotify, just know it's A Weingartner 13. Right? Loyal subscriber, loyal follower, and I guess now a friend of the show. So we're hoping to have more guests on like this in the future. And Aiden, just know that you're the first one. So
Well, thank
how
you.
about that?
I'm out.
All righty. Well, what do you say we get into it? Huh, lads?
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Let's start with Notre Dame early expectations, right? Early expectations for 2024. Now, spring practice hasn't even happened yet, right? We know there's going to be more people hopping in the transfer portal, more players to get. There's always feels like there's always coaching turnover. It's not over yet for most of these schools. For Notre Dame, it feels like it's pretty locked in here. You get a new quarterback in Riley Leonard from Duke, who's been pretty good. You get a new offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock, but a pretty familiar face in Mike Denbrock. And of course, Marcus Freeman is just doing his thing, transfer portal recruiting. The offense could be pretty explosive here. What are your early expectations? This is January, so early expectations for 2024, Aiden.
You want me to get into the quarterback situation or just the offense as a whole with the new OC?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the quarterbacks first. You got a couple of them in that room, right?
Yeah, so obviously Sam Hartman is going to the NFL draft. I mean, he's probably like a fourth or fifth round pick at the highest. But we do have a lot of ex talent going to the draft. But bringing in Riley Leonard, I would say maybe he doesn't have the highest ceiling in the world, but he provides a nice, stable floor. I think back to the Clemson game last year in week one, I think it was, when on that Monday night he beat Clemson and he was really on a roll. And funny enough, he actually kind of broke his ankle. I think it was against Notre Dame, correct? Was that against Notre Dame?
Last play of the game. Last play of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, so he was obviously tried to play, but he couldn't out the rest of the season. I thought he was going to the NFL because there was some first round buzz on him right after he beat Clemson. But he provides a nice safe floor, and then you got like a backup like Steve Angeli who uh went off in the I can't recall what our bowl was. Oh, Sun Bowl, Sun Bowl. He went off in the Sun Bowl, and then third string looks like is Kenny Minchie slash CJ Carr. Now, I hope this is the last year where Marcus Freeman brings in a transfer like Hartman and then Riley Leonard. I hope we can develop someone for next year, whether it's CJ Carr or Kenny Minchie. But since Deuce Knight is coming in 2 years in 2025, I'm pretty I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Minchie transfers in a couple years, just because he's always going to be the backup or at the very least third string at Notre Dame. But I like how our room is composed. You got a nice veteran presence from Riley Leonard, like I said, maybe not the highest ceiling in the world, but a nice stable floor. And then you got Steve Angeli, who now has experience in the Sun Bowl. And then you got Kenny Minchie and CJ Carr, who can continue to develop whether Minchie transfers in a couple years or not. But I really like the makeup of our QB room, a nice mix of veterans and young players.
Absolutely. This next question is for Christopher, right? So Mike Denbrock, and actually Aiden, I'll ask you this as well. So listen up. Mike Denbrock, he actually used to be offensive coordinator at Notre Dame in 2014.
Yep.
You remember those were the Everett Golson years, Will Fuller, CJ
Yeah.
Procise, Corey Robinson. There were some dogs in that 2014 team. They were scoring a lot of points. So Christopher, what do you think Mike Denbrock adds to this offense? You think this is like you think this is an upgrade over Jared Parker, Christopher?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I don't know about upgrade yet. I mean, we'll see. I do like it. Obviously, he had a super successful year with Jaden Daniels going off, and I do think it helps that he does have Brett Leonard's one of his best assets is his legs, right? And that dual threat ability. And what was great about it was the progression of Daniels from that just more dual threat kind of guy, an intermediate passer to a very explosive downfield passer, which I think Riley Leonard would love to get tapped into by Denbrock. We saw the development that happened with Jaden Daniels. Obviously, Notre Dame fans like Aiden, I'm sure, are really excited about the potential of pairing them up. And obviously he's been at Notre Dame. He went over with Brian Kelly when he went down to LSU. So he knows Marcus Freeman back from Cincinnati as well. So we'll see here. I think it's very interesting, and I think he's got a pretty loaded quarterback room. I think the wide receiver talent kind of got overhauled. You're bringing in 5-star. I think Cam Williams. You're also bringing in some transfers. We talked about Chris Mitchell. We talked about Bo Collins and guys like that. So yeah, it should be a fun year for Notre Dame offensively. Obviously, got to replace Joe Alt and some others in the line, but I mean, it's Notre Dame that kind of grow those guys in trees there.
Aiden, what do you think about Mike Denbrock?
So I now how much of an upgrade Denbrock is over Jared Parker remains to be seen, but I do think it is an upgrade because Jared Parker going over to Troy, I'm not like celebrating it, but we need a new fresh face in there because for as much as they were bragging about how much Audric Estime was like a bowling ball and he's great in short yard situations, and third and 1 and fourth and 1, they would Jared Parker would call the most confusing play calls and it would take Estime off the field. On third and 1 and fourth one, just hand it off to your bowling ball of the back. I situationally, end of half, beginning of half, those short yardage goal to go situations, 31 and fourth and 1, like I mentioned, I feel like is where he was lacking. And a lot of with Mike Denbrock now, obviously wide receivers are overhauled. You still have Jaden Thomas and Jaden Greathouse. Although oddly enough, Jaden Greathouse, like down the stretch of the season, like didn't get much production. He didn't catch a single touchdown like the last month, other than the Sun Bowl, but that's just a bowl game where Steve Angeli was starting. But I do look for a breakout player in this offense, Jeremiah Love. Now he is a better receiver out of the backfield going into his sophomore year than Audric Estime ever was. Audric Estime was an okay receiver out of the backfield, but not like the best. But yeah, I didn't like Parker situationally. Some of his short yardage play calling, it just didn't really make sense to me much.
Yeah, I love Jeremiah Love for one thing. I mean, he was a true freshman last year, making a huge impact as a change of pace guy. I liked him a lot. Well, let me also get into let's see. So how do you have you had a chance to like really look at this transfer portal class and like what you think of it? I mean, I really like Christopher already mentioned Bo Collins, Chris Mitchell to upgrade in that wide receiver room. Sure, you lose Chris Tyree, but I think those two guys in the aggregate are better than Merriweather and uh Chris Tyree
And Rico Flores left.
and Rico Flores.
I do like our wide receivers because in the past we've had like these little shifty receivers. Obviously, the Chris Tyree going from running back to slot receiver. Which, do you know what position he's going to be playing at Virginia, or a little bit of both?
I have no idea. Like, I mean, I imagine that. I mean, they had Malik Washington there. I guess they had Malik Washington playing outside and inside a lot, but I kind of think of Malik Washington as an inside receiver, but I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
he could play both. But I think of Chris Tyree as a slot receiver, so I would imagine him probably playing a little bit of that.
Yeah. But back to what I was saying with these smaller, shiftier receivers, now that we have Thomas Grayhouse going in their second year, but especially with Bo Collins and Chris Mitchell, they're kind of bigger body receivers. You can throw some downhill stuff. You can get them matched up one-on-one with some smaller corners. They're not those small, shifty guys. I feel like we needed more bigger bodies in the room, literally bigger bodies, because they're more of bigger build types. So I like how that is instead of the more like shiftier guys that can't really separate that much. They have speed, but like they can't really do much else.
Yeah, I agree. CD, do you have a favorite player in this transfer portal?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about the offense here. I'm gonna go on the defensive side of the ball, which did need a lot of help. You thought Marcus Williams would come in and fix that defense right away, but it's been a couple years. I'm gonna go RJ Oben. He was a guy that was highly sought after out of Duke when Mike Elko left. He's gonna come and play edge for them, pairing up with Riley Mills, who's coming back for his 5th year, which is a
Howard
big.
Cross too.
Yep. So to me, that's one I love there because I do think that raises the ceiling of your defense tremendously just by his presence, stopping the run and obviously rushing the passer as well.
Yes, I agree with that for sure. All right, let's do this exercise. I'm gonna do this with both of you, and then I'm gonna do it as well, and we're gonna all do it together. Okay, we're gonna run down the Notre Dame schedule, and we're gonna say win or loss. All right. Aiden, I'll let you start, and then CD, and then I'll give my answer for every single game. All right. So first game,
Go through.
we're gonna go through all the games. We're gonna go through all the
Okay.
games. We don't need to give explanations necessarily. Maybe brief
Just win
ones
a lot.
if we have differing opinions. But here we
Okay.
go. Notre Dame going to Kyle Field to play Texas A&M Aggies. Aiden, is that a win or a loss?
So it's at Texas A&M, correct?
It's at Texas A&M.
So I feel like this could be a sneaky one. First year with Mike Elko. I feel like Mike Elko was a really underrated coach at Duke, and I feel like he can kind of right the ship, if you will, at Texas A&M. It's not like they were terrible, but like they haven't really met expectations in that SEC. I am going to go Notre Dame, but I could see this one being sneakily an upset, not in favor of Notre Dame. I'm going to go Notre Dame though.
CD?
Maybe I'm just getting caught up in all the transfer portal success that Mike Elko has had there down in Kyle Field. I'm gonna go A&M here. I think at home that place is gonna be rocking. Year one under Mike Elko, you know more than anybody, Matthew, how loud and how hard it is to come into an environment like that. In Texas A&M, and we'll see a healthy Connor Wigman, good offensive staff, good defensive staff, really talented playmakers on both sides of the football. Even though A&M lost a lot, they brought in a whole heck of a lot more as well. And with good coaching over a whole offseason, I think it could be a pretty dangerous team.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm a big Mike Elko fan, so that's why I said it could be a sneaky upset.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the line is under 2 anyways. Like it's
yeah,
pretty.
it's basically a pick 'em. Like it's 50-50 here. I'm gonna go with the Aggies because I mean their home record against. Now we'll see if Notre Dame's an AP top 25 team at the beginning of the season, but they are electric against AP top 25 teams at home. I'll take them at home. I'll take Connor Wigman. I do like Riley Leonard, and that does scare me a little bit, especially like with A&M's linebacking core not necessarily being uh maybe up to snuff as it was this year with Ezra and Cooper, likely late first round, early second round pick. It'll be interesting to see what Riley Leonard can do when he gets out of the pocket. Next game, Northern Illinois. I mean, that's a win, right? It wins
Easy.
all around
We
there.
can all agree, probably.
All right, we don't need to go into that one.
We love
That's a win.
Thomas Hammock though, but you're moving into out of the Rocky Lombardi era. With
Yeah, you're
NIU,
moving.
which is
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Next, you go play Purdue in West Lafayette. So at Purdue. How do you feel about that one, Aiden?
Okay. Is it still Hudson Card who's there, or did they get a new quarterback?
I believe it's going to be Hudson Card again.
Okay. I feel like Hudson Card going from Texas to Purdue. This was his first year, right? Or was it his second year there?
This is his first year. Yeah, they did have a
feel like-
really nice receiving core, and they lost a lot in that receiving
Yeah,
core.
I feel like Devin Mockabee didn't live up to expectations. I feel like Hudson Card in and of himself didn't live up to expectations. I feel like a lot of these Notre Dame away games are going to be closer than people think. But I am going to go with Notre Dame, but it's going to be really, really tight. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, as we get closer to the season, I do pick Purdue. But at very early stages right now, I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I just don't think Purdue's brought in the transfer portal talent and has the coaching that Notre Dame does.
CD?
Yeah, these teams typically play each other pretty hard. It is a rivalry in state in Indiana. I'm gonna go Notre Dame here. I do like what Ryan Walters is doing at Purdue, but you mentioned they lost a lot in that transfer portal, and a bunch of guys going to A&M, a bunch of guys going to the SEC as well.
Yeah.
I do think Notre Dame's a legit, top 15 team this year. This is a game they have to win at home if they want to be competing for those at-large spots in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll agree with all of you guys. I think Notre Dame takes this one pretty handily. I don't know if Hudson Card's going to be able to handle. I think the defense will be a little bit more improved on Notre Dame's end, so
Yeah.
I think it'll be better.
Even when he was back at Texas, when he came in for those couple games when Quinn Ewers got injured, I've never really been like a big Hudson Card guy. So.
Yeah, exactly. I can see improvement, but not enough to beat this team.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Miami Redhawks travel to Notre Dame, the defending MAC champions. I hate to pick against the Redhawks,
Pretty
but
easy.
it's got to be Notre Dame, right?
This is the first, like, other than Northern Illinois, I'm like confident in a blowout for this one.
JD, you're same way?
Yeah, I'd go Notre Dame here. Although we love Miami, we love them in the MAC there, but the talent gap here is too significant.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
Then Louisville travels to Notre Dame. Revenge game for Notre Dame.
Louisville actually, I mean, once they lost to Ohio State, their playoff chances were pretty slim, but they still had a small chance after the beating USC, and then it all just came crashing down against Louisville. And I feel like Sam Hartman and the offense was never the same after that. So I do think Notre Dame will get revenge, especially since they're home. That helps a lot. Louisville, though, if they were away, I'd be tempted to pick Louisville because Louisville is a sneaky good, really good home field advantage. But I'm gonna go with Notre Dame here. They will get their revenge under Riley Leonard in third year under Marcus Freeman after basically getting their playoff hopes dashed once. Let's be honest, they look pretty bad in that Louisville games. But I'm gonna pick Notre Dame to get revenge.
CD?
Yeah, this is a really interesting match. I really like what Jeff Brom and Louisville did on the offensive side of the ball, especially in that transfer portal. You're bringing in a guy like Tyler Shuck. You're bringing in a couple wide receivers, Ja'Cory Brooks among
Penny
Jaleel
Boone.
Skinner, Penny Boone, another really good running back as well. So it should be interesting. Couple line of scrimmage guys from the Ivy Leagues, which is awesome there. But yeah, I think Notre Dame at home, this matters. I think they lost last year, that revenge game, that matters. So I'm gonna go Notre Dame in a very close one.
Tyler Shuck, this will be his 7th year of college football, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I
You know
saw
what?
there's this Miami tight end that's 9th year going in college football.
Cam McCormick. Remember that name. Remember that name when he's a used car salesman down the road. So let's get to next game. Stanford Cardinal travel to Notre Dame. I think I mean, love Troy Taylor, but come on, Notre Dame. I see that as a blowout.
Can I just say something quick?
Yeah.
That's okay. Obviously I picked Notre Dame to win, but Stanford, from what I remember, they used to be really, really good. Like the days of Christian McCaffrey, Bryce Love, but they haven't been good in like 6 or 7 years. But they used to be not a powerhouse, but they used to be like in the Pac-12 Conference Championship like every year back when they had McCaffrey and Bryce Love.
Oh yeah, Andrew Luck, Kobe
Yeah.
Fleener. I mean, they had some dudes.
But it's been such a fall from grace lately. I'm gonna go with Notre Dame.
CD?
Yeah, we mentioned we'll see how Troy Taylor, advances in year 2 there with Stanford. But yeah, I'm gonna go Notre Dame here. I think Stanford still has ways to go to be competing. And by the way, this is Stanford. This is ACC Stanford, right? If I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
that's right. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that interesting there? So yeah, I'm still go Notre Dame though.
Yeah,
All right, I will as well. Give me So next game, Notre Dame travels to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to play Georgia Tech. It's not a Bobby Dodd from what I'm looking at right here.
Is Haynes
That's
King gone, or is he still gonna be there?
he's
Haynes
still
King will
there.
still be there. Haynes King will be there. They got they had some guys there. They went 6-7 this year, or
Yeah.
sorry, 7-6 this year with the bowl, capped it off with the bowl game victory over UCF. They did
I feel
lose
like
Kyle Kennard, their edge, who was pretty good. They did lose some DBs. They did lose uh they lose their number one receiver. I'm trying to think. Don't have it in front of me, but
Well, he's a freshman, right? He's coming back.
okay, sweet. So
Eric Singleton, I believe.
I will take I'll take Notre Dame. What about you, Aiden?
I'll take Notre Dame, but I will say I don't know if this will translate to next season, but I will say I feel like Georgia Tech, Haynes King in particular, more specifically, had a really like underrated hot finish to the season. Like I feel like he was playing really good in his first year at Georgia Tech, especially the last month of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm taking Notre Dame. Next
Me too.
game, Notre Dame playing against Navy at MetLife.
I know that's a rivalry and everything, but I'm gonna go Notre Dame. They like never lose to Navy. Like I know it's a really like traditional rivalry, but I'm still gonna go Notre Dame.
CD.
Yeah, same here. I love that, Aiden. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that I anticipate blowout that to the same proportions we saw last year in Ireland. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Florida State travels to Notre Dame. How do you feel about that one, Aiden?
DJU back in the ACT. I it's at Notre Dame though.
It's at Notre
I feel
Dame.
like I know Hakeem Williams, the big body receiver, is probably going to step up in his second year, but I just think Florida State's lost too much. They lost Trey Benson. They've lost who else did they lose? They've lost Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson. So they've lost a lot of their offensive pieces. Jaheim Bell is kind of a hybrid halfback, scatback slash tight end. But I'm gonna go Notre Dame just because I think they've killed it in the transfer portal in Florida State, other than DJU. They've had a couple guys on defense. Speaking of defense, they also lost Jared Verse in a couple corners. So I am gonna go Notre Dame just because Florida State is losing a lot of talent. But DJU is a pretty good fit there, but I'm gonna go Notre Dame.
CD.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Florida State lost a ton here, and it helps to be at home for Notre Dame here. I think by then, in late November or early November, you'd hope Riley Leonard and that new offensive staff and all those pieces would be gelling at the right time and pushing for a playoff spot here. I'll go Notre Dame here. I think it'd be a close one for sure, but I think Notre Dame gets it done.
I think Notre Dame gets it done as well, for all the reasons you guys said. Next game, Virginia at Notre Dame. Sorry, Brent Key, or sorry, not Brent Key, with Tony Elliott, but
Yeah.
you're not going into South Bend and beating Notre Dame this year. Sorry.
Malik Washington was basically their whole offense, and now he's gone. So
Do we see a little Anthony Calandria action? I mean, I don't
Dude,
know.
who knows? You can never
who
count
knows
out
what
Virginia in any game.
they're
They
a
could lose
scrappy
any
team.
game or they could win every game.
Yeah, but I feel like losing Malik Washington is like losing your whole offense. He was basically their whole offense. Other than him, they couldn't really move the ball much.
Yeah, we'll
So
see if Chris Tyree can help them, but yeah, I don't see
Oh
it.
yeah, but yeah. Oh yeah, revenge game for Chris Tyree. But no, I don't see it either.
yeah, well, let's see. So we're all on Notre Dame there. Okay, last game, Notre Dame goes to California to play USC.
Miller Moss is probably. I mean, I know Jaden Mayava transfer. Oh no, wait, that was no, he did. Jaden
Yeah, he
Mayava
did.
transfer. But I was confused because he decommitted from Georgia and then a day later he got to USC. But Miller Moss is probably the starter there. So,
Yeah, I
but
like him a lot.
I'll let
I
you
like
guys
what
go first. I want to think about this one.
I am gonna actually take USC here, and I'll tell you why. I just think now it's not necessarily important that they're playing at home. It's more important that they're not playing in South Bend, right?
Mhm.
Notre Dame's got to travel all the way there, right? We
Yeah.
don't know what time that game's gonna be. We don't know what
This
time.
past year was at South Bend, right? In South Bend.
Yep.
Yes. So I like USC in the spot there. I think they improve Deanton Lynn as their defensive coordinator is a great addition. No more Alex
Yeah.
Grinch. So
Thank God.
this is January, and like my thoughts are going to fluctuate throughout the next, 6, 7, 8 months. But as of right now, I have Notre Dame finishing with a 10-2 record with losses to Texas A&M and USC, both on the road.
This might be a hot, well, kind of bold take because he was only a kick and punt returner last year. But I think like Zachariah Branch is set up and gonna have a monster year next year.
Not a hot take on this show. Not a hot take.
We've loved him since the summer. Week 0 was dynamic. Obviously, everyone
Yeah,
got introduced to him. I'm gonna go USC here. Like Matthew said, I do think I love the defensive coordinator, Danton Lynn, getting there. I think a mindset's changing there at USC. We talked about it in the bowl season and how they showed up and beat Louisville pretty handily. I like Miller Moss, what he's got there. A lot's been made of the transfer portal for USC, losing a lot of
yeah,
high profile recruits. I'm not too worried. Corey Foreman, Damani Jackson, those guys are gonna have better careers elsewhere than they would at USC. The only guy that I think they miss is Tackett Curtis. He was a guy that was a big win
yeah.
out of high school. He's a guy, true freshman, I believe, playing for him. But other than that, I do think USC is moving in the right direction for sure. And I think
Yeah.
Notre Dame at the end of the year, it'll be tough going on the road there. So yeah, I'll go USC.
It's not. I'll give my pick in a minute, but it's not like USC's weapons on offense are this big ordeal to overcome. Margo Williams, Dorian Singer are transferring out. Singer went to Utah. Is Mario Williams committed anywhere yet? I don't know, but
Yeah, I think he's going to Tulane actually.
those it's not like those guys have pretty disappointing years, so like it's not like anything huge to overcome. I will go USC though, unfortunately. Both teams I think pretty firmly will be in the playoff picture, especially with the 12 team. If Notre Dame can't make a 12-team playoff, I don't know what's going on over there. um, but yeah, I am gonna go USC, unfortunately. Like I mentioned, Zachariah Branch, not too much to overcome losing those weapons on offense. You mentioned the defensive coordinator switch is going to be huge. Lincoln Riley, I think he can groom Miller Moss just like he's groomed Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams. The list goes on. So I am going to go USC in a tight one to end off the year.
All right, so our finales, Aiden, you have him going 11-1, which likely gets him into the playoffs in this day and age.
You would think
And
as
then
well.
you would think so. And then CD and I have him going 10-2. We all had him losing to USC. CD and I had him losing to Texas A&M. All right, that's going to wrap it up for our Notre Dame early expectations.
Can I just say
Any
this quick?
last
I think,
thoughts?
yeah, I think their floor. Like I could see a world where they lose to Texas A&M in a clunker to Purdue. So I think their floor is 9-3, and I think their ceiling is 11-1.
All right, I like that. I like that. Both are equally possible. Both are equally possible. Now, the other thing that we wanted to talk about on the show while we have Aiden, college football expert, we want to talk about conference sleepers, all right? Conference champion sleepers, right? From every single conference. Aiden said he had 4 sleepers. I don't know how many CD has. I have a couple sleepers, and we'll get some explanations on each. CD, I'll let you start this one off. Do you have any college football conference champion sleepers that maybe people haven't thought about yet? And things will change. Obviously, like our answers are going to change after spring practice
Yeah.
and the spring games and all that.
Mhm.
But CD, do you got anything for us?
Well, I'll start with the Big Ten here because it is my conference up there in the Midwest. A lot's changing, right? You got Oregon, USC, Washington, UCLA heading to the Big Ten. Most notably, they're also changing the divisions and the conference championship format. So that obviously plays a factor into all of this. Obviously the big dogs. I think the two early favorites right now are Ohio State and Oregon. Obviously, lots being made about both their transfer portal classes and Ohio State's returners that forego the NFL draft and are returning for their senior and fifth years there. It's a really exciting time to be at Columbus right now and obviously next year. As for sleepers, though, I'll give you one here. I don't know if it's too early, but Michigan State, man, we'll see what they can do year one. Jonathan Smith, I do like.
Wow.
The problem
Yeah,
is
that's
you gotta get
interesting.
sleepers. It's gonna have to be bold. I think the Big Ten, more than some other conferences, there is a massive gap between tier one and everybody else, which we've seen that the past couple years. I don't know if you could consider Penn State a sleeper. I do like what they're building to this year. I think this is the year they've kind of circled after a big time recruiting class a couple years ago. I do love what James Franklin has going for them. And then I'll give you one more, and I hate to do it, but Wisconsin. I really like Luke Fickell and staff. They're recruiting very, very well at the high school level and at the transfer portal level. I don't know if Tyler Van Dyke's the answer there, for a year maybe, but other than that, I do like the direction of Wisconsin's heading right now, which just kills me to say. But yeah, those would be my three to watch out for in the Big Ten.
I did
Yeah.
not like. I don't know what you think, but I did. I really wasn't a fan of the Jonathan Smith hire. I am an Aiden Childs fan, but I didn't like the Jonathan Smith hire for Michigan State. I don't know. It just felt kind of weird to me.
All right. Well, do you got a sleeper for us, Aiden?
Do you want me to just stick on the Big Ten?
Whatever you want. Yeah, while we're on the Big Ten, give me your Big Ten sleeper.
So I have two. I'll go with the more like. I don't know if you consider this a sleeper, but since Caleb Williams is leaving, I have USC. I just really like what I saw from Miller Moss in the Holiday Bowl. And like I said, I think Zachariah Branch is going to have a monster year. Now, I don't know if their defense will like all of a sudden be top 10 in the country, but with the defensive coordinator switch, it'll be at least like above average or like a bit above serviceable. So the offense doesn't have to put up 50 plus points every week. But I'm going to go USC. And then the second and last only other sleeper I had for the Big Ten. I'm sure there's more, but these are the two main ones I had. This might's not crazy, but I have Nebraska. Year two under Matt Rule. I think Dylan Raiola. Now I don't know how many consistent like weapons here. I'm not too familiar with like the Nebraska offense.
They're all
But
really
Jeff
young, but
Yeah.
they were young
Yeah.
last year, so they have experience now.
Jeff Sims was a disaster of a transfer, to say the least. But like I said, year two under Matt Rule, I think Dylan Raiola is basically the anointed starter there right now. He literally left Georgia because of the starter, and he kind of drove off Kyle McCord because he was going to be the starter. But I think he has a really nice O-line. I think Dylan Raiola could use his legs more than we're thinking. But I'm a really big fan of Raiola. I'm a really big fan of Matt Rule. And I have Nebraska and USC. But I think the more bold one is for sure Nebraska.
Okay, I actually think I like that take more than I like CD's Michigan State take.
No, that's
I'll
not
go,
crazy.
that's not crazy at all.
The thing is, real quick, I've been around the Big Ten enough to know that Nebraska's always gonna let you down. Okay, I'm just kidding.
Pretty
We
sure.
love our Nebraska fans. We love our Nebraska fans.
All right, well, I'll give you guys a sleeper, but let me move to the G5. Let me go to the Sun Belt. Can I point you guys in the direction of a little team called Arkansas State? Yep.
Ooh,
Yep. CD, who is the coach over at Arkansas State?
Our guy Butch Jones.
Our guy Butch friggin' Jones.
big
That dude's
fan.
got Jalen Rayner as a quarterback. You get
Becky
Corey
is-
Rucker. Get Corey Rucker back. You're bringing in Malik Hornsby as a wide receiver there, which is gonna be really nice. You pretty much bring everyone back in your offensive line except Jalen Cunningham at guard, but you get that Missouri transfer coming in.
He's
Will just be a
wait,
plug and
Hornsby's
play.
switching to wide receiver.
Yep.
Oh, I
Yep,
didn't
yep,
know.
yep. So that'll be really interesting there. And you also, a lot of your defensive starters are staying. You know, you lose Javante Mackey, he's going to Memphis, but Dane Motley looked like he played well in the bowl game. I like him a lot. Their secondary is going to be really, really, really experienced next year. You lose Sammy Johnson, who's their best player there. But gosh, I just think it's going to be a tough conference to win for sure. But you won it in a year where you got Troy with the new head coach, JMU with the new head coach. You got who else got a new? Oh, South Alabama with a new head coach. Some of the big players in the Sun Belt are
Yeah.
having new head coaches in their first year. So could this be the year that Arkansas State shines through? I don't know. I don't know. My other one in the Sun Belt was going to be Texas State because I don't love Jaden Delora, but I like him enough where he's athletic enough where he can get stuff done in the Sun Belt. But
I didn't know he transferred.
yeah, he transferred to Texas State. Their defense, though, they lost literally just everyone. So their offense is going to be explosive because they get Mowdy and they get Joe Hobart back and Jaden Delora. But it's going to be a rough one on their defense.
Because they had TJ Finley last year, right? He's in the portal now.
Yep, TJ Finley. He's in the portal. He might have
going
committed
to-
somewhere.
Western Kentucky.
Western
yeah,
Kentucky,
that's
that's
a big
it.
rumor. I think.
Big rumor. And then also their star Ashton Hawkins, their receiver, is committed to Baylor. So he was also in the transfer portal. But Joey Hobart might be better. Might be better. So
Yeah.
those are two sleepers for me in the Sun Belt. CD, I'm gonna go back to you. Any other conference sleepers that you're looking at?
I mean, it's really hard. I'm looking at the Big 12 right now, and everyone is just on the same tier, which is awesome. And it's going to make for such an exciting Big 12. So I don't even know if you could call anybody a sleeper or if you could, pick, if you can guess the Big 12 next year, you can buy a ladder ticket, you can predict my future.
I think I know what you're gonna say, and I might agree with you.
I don't know. I'm kind of feeling a Matt Campbell vibe here with Iowa State.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's not crazy.
They've
Rocco
always
Beck.
just
They had a wild offseason last year, and they still salvaged a pretty darn good year. Obviously the bowl season didn't end how they wanted it to, playing against I believe Memphis in that Liberty Bowl. But yeah, I do think with a kind of a power vacuum, kind of happening up at the top there, I think a couple teams are going to rise to the top there. And I would have said Arizona without Judd Fish. I think that changed things a little bit. Oh, we love that coach, love them. I mean, they sound like they're keeping some of their star players, but yeah, I'm gonna go Iowa State and Matt Campbell.
All right. I actually like that a lot. I didn't write that down, but I actually like that a lot. Aiden, you got any
no.
other
Yeah.
sleepers?
I actually have three here for the Big 12. Excuse me. I actually have three here for the Big 12. I am gonna say Arizona. I know they lost Jed Fish, but they had a really, really breakout year last year. And it sounds like Noah Fafita and Tat McMillan are staying. So I'm a really big fan of that connection. And then for Colorado, like I have Colorado as a sleeper. Like I know the whole like Deion Sanders thing. I don't. It didn't pan out very well. I know they have lost Sean Lewis to a head coach job. I can't remember where,
And
but now
Charles
they have
Kelly.
now they have Kyle Shermer. I don't know how that's going to go as OC. But Dion Shador returning for a second year. They add some guys in the trenches on O line and D line respectively. They got Omarion Hampton. Xavier Weaver is leaving now. They got LeJohntay Webster. They got who else do they have? Travis Hunter obviously will probably play both sides of the ball again. So their wide receiver core goes pretty deep. Will Shepard. So I'm a really big fan of them for this year in on their second year under Dion. And then Kansas. Jalen Daniels is returning for another year. Devin Neal is returning for another year, running back. I don't know about Highshaw. Is he in the portal or no?
I'm not sure. I haven't given a much look to their roster turnover, but this Luke Grimm, is he still there? Mason Fairchild?
Tight end, yeah. I feel like Fairchild is returning. I heard so they don't have like the best weapons, but again, Jalen Daniels, if he can avoid injury and use his legs, I feel like they could be sneaky. So those are my Big 12 sleeper teams: Arizona, Colorado, and then most notably Kansas.
All right. Well, since we're talking about the Big 12, let me give you my Big 12 sleeper that I might be sprinkling some cash on when season rolls around. West Virginia.
Oof! Wow.
They
Ooh.
Yeah, they are.
returned
Yeah.
they returned their entire offensive line, which was already one of the best in the country. They get Garrett Green, who day by day, I love that kid even
He's
more
been
at
there
quarterback.
forever. I feel like.
He's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
He was at West Virginia when uh what's his name? We just talked about him. Mike Denbrock
Jared Parker.
is or no, sorry, Jared Parker. Sorry. When Jared Parker was at West Virginia, I believe uh he was there. I'm gonna have to confirm that for sure. But I like him a lot. If you're gonna tell me I'm gonna get Garrett Green, Jaheim White, an entire offensive line coming back, and a very, very workable schedule, as all Big 12 schedules are. But let me just pull up their schedule here really quick. But we talked about this, like in the Big 12, like anyone can win on any given day, right?
Yeah.
But schedule dynamic is important. We saw that with Oklahoma State this year, right? They found some manageable games down the stretch where they got these important big games at home, and it worked out for them. So let me pull. Gosh, why? I didn't have this ready, so that's my fault as the producer here. But okay, I got it right here. Yeah, sure. You get Penn State at home. We could chalk that up as a loss. Whatever. It's not
Also out of
Yeah.
conference. Doesn't
It's not a
matter.
conference game, but you get sorry. Iowa State, I believe you get at home. You get Kansas State at home. You get Kansas at home. You get Baylor at home and UCF at home, right? And then your road games are at Cincinnati, at Arizona with the new head coach, at Oklahoma State, which is a tough barn, and at Texas Tech, who just lost House Shuck. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a very, very
Favorable.
workable schedule right there.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest fan right now. As of January, that's going to change, of course,
Yeah.
by the time season rolls around. But yeah, give me West Virginia. So any other sleepers for you, CD?
I guess the SEC, I don't even want to touch because I think so much is going to happen in the next couple weeks or next couple months that are going to change,
I agree.
everything. Alabama,
I have none in the SEC right now.
it's going to be
I
hard
have
to.
two.
Okay, go for it.
So I have Ole Miss and Tennessee. Like Ole Miss returning for his third year. Ole Miss. Jackson Dart returning for his third year. Ole Miss. I think Lane Kiffin is. I don't know if like people really believe this. Bold take, whatever. I think he's one of the best head coaches in the country. And then obviously their transfer portal. Lane Kiffin has been killing it in the transfer portal. And then their speedy receiver Trey Harris is returning. And then Tennessee, I know they're losing Joe Milton. And then Nico Illinois. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his last name. But I think he's gonna be really good for them. I know they're losing some weapons, but they got a really nice running back room in there, and they have an okay enough defense over there at Tennessee, led by star edge rusher James Pierce. So I got Ole Miss in Tennessee, but I'm gonna go for a more traditional one because I do agree with you guys that SEC will change a lot. So I have one sleeper in the ACC to end off here with my sleepers. I got Syracuse. Like I don't know how much of a hot take that is, and the reason is because of Fran Brown. Fran Brown's been
I
killing it in the
love that,
transfer.
by the way. I
Fran
love that.
Brown's
I'm all on
yeah,
Syracuse train right now.
Fran Brown's been killing it in the transfer portal. He's been killing it in the recruiting game. And my issue with Dino Babers was he didn't know how to recruit. Like he was a really bad recruiter. He never did it well, or like never knew how to do it. I don't know what the reason was, but he was a really bad recruiter for that matter. So with Rondé Gaston returning at tight end / wide receiver, whatever you want to label him as and call him. And then they don't really have I can't remember that really big receiver from South Alabama or something they got. And then Kyle McCord, I wasn't the biggest fan of him at Ohio State. He was just a game manager, slightly above maybe. But the ACC defenses are typically like historically pretty tough. But I think McCord can handle it. He said it like a month ago when he transferred, committed to Syracuse, that they could push for a 12-team playoff. And this might be a hot take. And for Brown's first year, I'm not guaranteeing and saying they'll make it, but I think they can push like it's an open field 12 teams now. So I'm really big like Syracuse fan for this year. And the Fran Brown hire was like amazing to me. So I got Syracuse as my last and final sleeper from the ACC.
CD, you got any more sleepers in the books for you?
I'll throw one more in, and I hate to do it to North Carolina State because sometimes they do. I don't know. I do think they're bringing in Noah Rogers, right? Among Kevin Conception and some other guys that are still there. They're bringing in Grayson McCall, quarterback position. They're returning a good amount of talent there. I
Yeah.
trust our defense to be pretty good. I think they could be a player in the ACC where if Florida State's down, if Miami's inconsistent, and Clemson hasn't still, got back to where they were, I think a lot of teams can win there. And instead I'll go there. And then last one, I just got to give love to our guy over in West Virginia or Virginia Tech, right? Brent Key
Brent Pry.
or Brent Pry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I love both you guys, coaches, both the Brents in the ACC, but I like what they're doing there. They're returning a lot of key guys, a lot of young guys on that team last year. They know their identity, what they want to do offensively, and that they really lean into it. So yeah, I think it'd be a fun one. And when that place is rocking, it's a tough place to play in. You get a nice little schedule
Sure.
there, couple home wins there, and they could be ACC players. And they were this year in November. They were right there in
They're
the
right in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like those guys. So I'm all out of sleepers. So let's move on. Right, let's move on. Coaching hires. Our favorites from this year's coaching cycle, 2024 coaching cycle. I have four, and I'm assuming that a lot of ours are going to overlap too.
I
So,
got three.
all right, awesome. I'll let you start off then, Aiden. You give us your favorite three coaching hires.
So I kind of like ranked them, like one being my favorite and three being my least favorite out of three. But I'd say three new hires out of the whole country. Like they're all very good. This might be kind of obvious, but like Kalen DeBoer, like he is bringing a lot of players over from Washington. He just brought like a backup quarterback, Austin Mack, I think his name was, over from Washington. Jalen Milroe in his second year in the system. I don't think it's going to change too much. They still have Tommy Reese, off OC, offensive coordinator. Jalen Milroe, that kid's an athlete, can use his legs. And like, I really was not, I don't know about you guys, but I was not a Jalen Milroe fan going into the year. I thought he would kind of struggle. And it seems like 100 years ago, but he got benched even for Ty Simpson / Tyler Buckner, which was a disaster. But some of the defensive players they added Damani Jackson. They have Deontay Lawson returning at linebacker, Malachi Moore returning at corner / safety. They are losing Dallas Turner, their star edge rusher. They are losing some other guys like Justin Boygby, also D line. But I think they can, like, the defensive players they've added, maybe not as good, can get over that hump. I just don't trust their wide receiver corps, though. A lot of guys transferring out and not very much transferring in. That's of note. But for the coach specifically, I really like the Kalen DeBoer hire. Do you want me to go into my next one, or do you just want to like
Well,
rotate?
to comment on that, I believe Ryan Grubb is likely going to be the offensive coordinator that next year, but I think that proves your point even better.
Oh,
Like I think Ryan Grubb is even better than Tommy Reese,
sorry, I
more
totally
proven.
forgot.
But like, I think that proves your point even better, if that makes sense. Like I think he can. Jalen Milroe, right, big deep ball thrower. Michael Penix, big deep ball thrower. I kind of like
Look
that.
what Ryan Grubb did at Washington. Every week he made it a track meet. Like every week, Washington was scoring 40 to 50 points. Every week it was like just chucking it all over the place. So
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you can go to your next one.
I got Jed Fish going from Washington. Jed Fish going from Arizona to Washington to replace Kalen DeBoer. I'm a really big fan of Jed Fish, and this year just emphasized it for me with Arizona. Now I don't know; it's not confirmed right now if Noah Fifita and or Ted McMillan will stay or go to Washington. I think right now they're staying, but I wouldn't be surprised if like the spring portal opens, like the second portal window opens in the spring, and they go there. But for now, for Washington, they do have to figure out their quarterback situation because, like, do they even have like a notable one on the roster right now? Like, I think there's been like all of them have transferred out. So, um, obviously on defense, they're losing Jabbar Muhammad to apparently the big rumor is he's going to Texas right now. I don't know if he's officially committed there yet. They're losing a couple notable D linemen and linebackers, but I know they're losing a lot of weapons. Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk, and most notably Roma Dunze, and then Jack Westover entered the transfer portal, and so did Culp, the backup tight end. But for the coach specifically, I really like the culture Jed Fish is going to bring to Washington from Arizona.
I like that. I like that a lot. We're huge Jed Fish fans. I mean, we've been on his bandwagon since pretty much week 3 of this season. I don't know, week 4. So, anyways, you got another one?
Yeah, third and final one. I have Fran Brown of Syracuse. I just really think he's killing it in the portal. Awesome recruiter. Like I said, going from Dino Babers to him is like a revelation because, again, Babers didn't know how to recruit for whatever reason. I really, I talked about them as a sleeper in the ACC, and I really think they can push for the 12-team playoff. Maybe just miss it, but I think like 7 to 9 wins is well within range for this team. And I think like ACC championship is well within range. Like with UNC, North Carolina losing Drake May, they're going to take a step back most likely. Florida State might be still Florida State, but they're losing a lot on offense and a lot on defense. So I really like Syracuse. And in turn, I really like Fran Brown as my third favorite head coach hire of this cycle. I don't really have any other ones as honorable mentions. Mike Elko with Texas A&M. If I'm going to do Texas A&M, I will throw out as an honorable mention. But other than that, I was just kind of lukewarm, like, whatever on them. But these three plus Mike Elko as an honorable mention, I really, really like.
Yeah, I like those all a lot. CD, you got your favorite coaching hires from this cycle?
Yeah, I couldn't really narrow it down to three. But what I am gonna do is I'm gonna kind of, do three and like the impact that each one had. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but you'll see what I mean. So basically, the first transaction, basically what it ended up being was Kalen DeBoer for Judd Fish. I think both teams are very happy where they are right now with
Yeah.
that coaching hire compared to what it would have been. Obviously, DeBoer, we went into depth on him in our video if you want to go check that out. But I love what he's doing there with the staff recruiting. He lost Caleb Downs, he lost Proctor, Nye Black, and Bond, and all those guys. They'll figure it out there at Bama. Like Courtney Morgan, he'll be able to assemble a very good roster there. And then Judd Fish, like Matthew mentioned, we've been on him for a while. Everything that Aidan said about him and what he can do there, it holds true. I really like what he did at Arizona, a very tough place to win at, and pretty quickly he ran. He won
Yeah.
there with a guy that was Fafita, who was literally the backup quarterback, and he comes in and he uses those explosive weapons on that offense and really ignites a team. And that was a team that lost a ton to the portal, offensively and
Oh yeah.
defensively, and they still managed to get better year by year there. I love that. The second one I'll go is the Indiana James Madison, right? You talk about Kirk Cignetti at Indiana and Bob Chesney at James Madison. Both those guys are just proven winners wherever they've been at. I love what they're doing there. Kirk Cignetti, obviously at Indiana, is a tough place to win at, very tough place to win at. But you know what? If anyone can do it and rally those boosters and the alumni and turn it from a basketball school to maybe a competitive football program in the Big Ten, I think Kirk Cignetti can. And obviously Bob Chesney, what he's done there, Holy Cross and in other places. We've talked about both those guys in our videos. We love them, and what they can do there at James Madison. And then lastly, I'll go with the Houston Tulane, combo there with Willie Fritz and John Summerall. Willie Fritz already seeing dividends out of Houston with transfer portal, with coaching staffs, with some early recruiting for next year. And then obviously John Summerall, I love his transfer portal class he's putting together at Tulane. He won big at Troy very early. He
Yeah.
knows what he's doing there to assemble a team in United City like New Orleans. I think both those guys are going to be fantastic fits where they are.
Yeah, I agree with every single one you said, and with every single one that Aiden said. I like those a lot. I'll give my four. Two of them are kind of like, hey, 1 month bias. Like they've done a lot in this first month. First one will be Fran Brown, which Aiden already mentioned.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely dynamic in the transfer portal, acquiring talent and coaching staffs. Second one would be Mike Elko, what he's done, putting together that coaching staff that he has there with Colin Klein, Jay Bateman, Ish, Sean Spencer. I mean, people can disagree like how great of a staff that is. But you also bring in Tommy Moffitt too as your strength and conditioning coach, which is a big get as well. So
Yeah.
I think he's been doing a great job. And then the two ones that we haven't seen a ton yet because they're lower tier programs, quote unquote. Bronco Mendenhall with New Mexico. If you haven't
Ooh,
seen that video, I think we did a really good job breaking that one down
good one.
earlier. So if you're watching now, make sure you guys go check that out. Going to New Mexico, the Rocky Long years is what he's going to try to revive with that 3.35. And he's got New Mexico ties. He was a DC there for a couple years. I like the fit a lot. We talk about fit and like sometimes like you need a good coach to get a good fit. I think he kind of, sure it didn't work out Virginia, but I like Bronco Mendenhall here. And then the last one I'll give, there he is, his beautiful face, Scotty Walden for UTEP, the up and comer young guy, 34 years old, absolutely insanely innovative offense when he was at Austin P and Assumption. So I like him, and so Ross even like he's just been dynamic offensively wherever he's gone. And that's what you kind of need. Like if you're a lower tier program like UTEP, you're not going to be able to get like the really great Power 5 coordinator to go be your head coach there. There's bigger jobs for those guys. You got to get the young guys. You got to get them while you got to catch them on their incline while they're going up. So hopefully he gets a couple good years there.
Can
And
I ask you a question quick?
yeah,
I know this is kind of off topic, but like this just came in my mind. This happened a couple of days ago, so I want to get your thoughts on it. What's your thoughts on Diego Pavia transferring to Vanderbilt? Do you think that's a good landing spot?
I mean, I don't know about good. I'm not sure that being the Vanderbilt quarterback is a great landing spot for anyone. Hence why
Yeah.
AJ Swan and Ken Seals transferred out of there. But I do think with the dynamic legs, and the
Yeah.
playmaking ability with lesser talent around him, I think I don't know. I don't know how he'll fare against SEC talent. I mean, he did well against Auburn when he played Auburn
Yeah.
this year. So
Was he at New Mexico or New Mexico State?
New Mexico State. Yeah. Sorry if
Okay,
I said New Mexico, but
was he good there? I didn't really follow him much.
yeah, he was good this year. I think in past like a lot of turnovers. But that's just what's gonna happen when you're playing with lesser talent. We saw it with AJ
Yeah.
Swan. Vanderbilt fans were so upset. And you saw
Yeah,
LSU how quickly they were to swoop up AJ Swan because the talent is there, right? But he's working with so much, you know. I mean,
yeah,
he got
that's a
really good
really good
receivers
name.
at Vanderbilt, but the offensive line was
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
jump in here. It makes sense, a lot of sense for Diego Pavia. First of all, you're following your head coach, Jerry Gill. He's doing an off the field role
Oh
at
yeah.
Vanderbilt. So obviously there's that good
And other
relationship
coaches
there.
too. There's like several
Yeah. Other
coaches.
ones.
Yep. And also you're getting a Vanderbilt degree, which is, for some of these kids is more important than anything. If the NFL
That's
future is
pretty
not
big,
quite your
yeah.
thing, that's a great idea too for Pavia. And then for Vanderbilt, why not? You're bringing in also a guy like Nate Johnson, uber talented, very
Oh
raw
yeah.
guy from Utah who comes in and maybe, with Pavia, you can kind of bridge him, get him acclimated, and then you can really take off.
Yeah. If
So
you want to
yeah,
talk about a quarterback who can really run, like Nate Johnson ran a lot at Utah last year.
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
With like,
because he had to. Because he
yeah.
had to. All right, well, what do you guys say we get into our most important segment of the day? A little bit different than what we're used to on this show. But come on, guys, bear with us. We got our Bills expert here, Chiefs versus Bills preview. Aiden, I'm just gonna let you uh kind of lead this segment, and I will have a couple questions for you probably at the end, but I'll let you do your thing.
Oh, obviously it's tomorrow. But the difference is this time, this will be the first ever road game Patrick Mahomes is playing in his career. Now, I don't think the home field advantage will affect him necessarily, but a lot of the young receivers that keep making mistakes in their disaster of a tackle duo that keeps drawing flags. I think it will affect them mainly. This is a legacy game for Josh Allen, though. You can't lose 0-3 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Regular season, awesome. Playoffs, different story. So you can't go 0. This is a legacy, career-defining game for Josh Allen. I'm saying if we, mean the Bills, if we beat the Chiefs, I think we are going all the way. I haven't looked ahead to the Texans or Ravens yet, although I am picking the Texans. But I think the Bills win. I have an official score prediction for you. I think the Bills win 31-30. I don't think like weather and the coldness will be as big of a factor as people are expecting. The Chiefs defense doesn't scare me, but that's their best attribute. But their run defense is really bad. Corners, safety, secondary, like that's their bread and butter. They're awesome. But their run defense, obviously they have Chris Jones there, but they have a couple guys out. So go to that side. I think James Cook is gonna have to be a huge factor in this game. That's just my initial thoughts, but
Yeah, I like that. So what are the keys to the game for both teams?
obviously both teams are gonna say we gotta have long sustained drives to keep Josh Allen on the bench or Patrick Mahomes on the bench or vice versa. Flip that, whatever. But I'd say three keys. I would say like pounding James Cook. I'm not saying he has to go for like 150 total scrimmage yards between rushing and receiving and 2 touchdowns, like he did in the Chiefs' first matchup or in that historic game against the Cowboys. We had 170 rushing yards, but maybe like 15 to 20, 18 to 20 touches, something that ilk. Something of that nature where they can just keep pounding it with him. He's not the biggest running back, so maybe sprinkle in Ty Johnson a few times. But I think when you don't have to stress Josh Allen, when you have your blocking assignments really well, I think the biggest key is James Cook. And the second key is I think use Josh Allen's legs, whether it's him scrambling by himself or design QB runs. I think Joe Brady, the interim OC, which by the way, I know he interviewed with the Falcons yesterday, or he's requested to. He needs to stay our OC. Ken Dorsey to Joe Brady, like change was needed, and it's clearly shown. We've won 6 in a row now, 5 to end the regular season, 1 in the playoffs, 31-17 Steelers. We know about that. So use Josh Allen's legs. And then thirdly, I would say, like, get Stephon Diggs in favorable matchups. So Jerry Sneed is an all-pro corner. Their other corners are pretty good, but maybe put him in the slot and those linebackers because those linebackers like Willie Gay and Nick Bolton are really good downfield tacklers, but not the best in coverage. So I would say Khalil Shakir and Stephon Diggs from the slot in the middle of the field. So pound James Cook, utilize Josh Allen's legs, and line up Stephon Diggs maybe like in the slot to throw them off and get them on different defenders. So I'd say those are my three main keys that come to my mind right away.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're gonna have Trent McDuffie, the kind of shadowing
All-pro
Stephon
slot
Diggs,
corner.
which kind of concerns me. If that concerns you, what are you worried about for this game for the Bills?
I mean, we've seen it before. The last couple of weeks, it's kind of died down, but especially against the Dolphins, Josh Allen and his turnovers. He had 18 receptions this year. A lot of them, a good chunk of them, actually were in the red zone, and that just can't happen. Like if you get Patrick Mahomes extra possessions, you're doomed. I mean, once they're in the red zone, they got to capitalize. The red zone offense is bad enough as it is. It's improved the last couple of weeks, but for the most part, for a good chunk, it's been kind of poor, like really poor. So take points when you can get them, but also don't turn the ball over, especially in the red zone. Don't give Patrick Mahomes more possessions. That's the Chiefs' path to winning.
Alrighty, alrighty. So I'll ask I'll ask both of you guys. You guys got a score prediction for us? Start with you, Aiden.
I have Bills 31-30. I know people are expecting a low scoring game, but like I said, I don't think the weather and coldness will be as big of a factor. Both teams are more than apt at playing in the cold. I mean, it was literally negative 35 at one point in Kansas City last week versus the Dolphins when they won 26-7. But I got Bills 31-30. Finally, Josh Allen finally slaying the beast, if you will.
Yeah, I think they get it done here. I'm gonna go a little bit lower scoring, 27-24. Not too much
That's
Bills covering, but just half a point. Yeah, like you mentioned, I think they get it done. I love the matchup here. You talk about the weather though. I do want to ask you real quick. Um, so it sounds like there's gonna be some pretty heavy snowstorm leading up to the game. How do you think that's gonna impact the teams, whether they're preparing? You know, if you're in Buffalo trying to practice around it, trying to get into the facilities and do all that stuff, preparing for a football game, or even the Chiefs when they're trying to travel to Buffalo and maybe affecting that.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Is that going to matter? Are the both teams used to it? You know, you worried about that at all? You think it gives Buffalo an advantage? Tell me about that a little bit.
I think it could matter for like the first quarter or so, but once the second quarter hits and they get in the groove of the game, I don't think it affects both teams necessarily too much. Like I said, there's going to be a home crowd rocking there. Um, both teams are more than apt and ready and prepared to play in the cold, so I don't think it's as big as a factor as people are thinking.
Awesome. I'll give my score prediction. Give me 24-14 Bills.
So lower scoring.
I think
You
it's
think
gonna
it's going to
be
be? I would love it to be a 10-point win, but for some reason, I think it's going to be like really stressful and close.
I have a feeling that both quarterbacks are gonna find ways to turn the ball over.
Yeah.
But like Josh Allen might be Josh Allen's fault, but in Patrick Mahomes' case, I have a feeling that we're gonna see some stupid stuff from those receivers. So
Yeah, they're gonna
that,
mess up. I am worried about our defensive injuries though. Like that's the one thing I am worried about, but hopefully people can step up in their roles.
yep, absolutely. Well, that's gonna do it for the Redshirt Sophomore this episode. Thank you so much, Aiden, for joining us. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter at Aiden A Weingartner 13. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it on the screen right now under his picture.
Thanks for having me. It was a great conversation.
Totally. It was awesome. I mean, you won the Redshirt Sophomore Bowl pool, so you earned it. You earned it. So that was a great
Thanks.
conversation. Link to his podcast will be in the description as well. Thank you guys
Thanks.
so much. Make sure you guys like. If you like the content, like the video, right? And of course, keep subscribing. The support has been awesome recently. Can't wait to do more stuff this off season. CD, you got anything for us before we get out of here?
No, you said it all. Thank you, Aiden, for coming on. We really appreciate
Thank
you.
you again.
Good luck to your podcast and your Twitter and everything else with the rest of your life. So we appreciate you for
Thanks.
coming on.
Alrighty. And we will see you guys in the next one.